Welcome to Bandit's Keep Actual Play. I'm Daniel. We are continuing our solo original Dungeons & Dragons campaign using Chainmail and Outdoor Survival. The group called the Wolves of Meepole is now heading out on their third expedition. The second expedition was didn't go as well as they thought. They had encountered some cockatrices and realized they were just outmatched by a bunch of magical chickens. So they made a plan. They've built, effectively, some barriers of kind of medieval chicken coop material. So weaved of wood, and they are transporting them to the dungeon. Their plan is to ambush the cockatrices and take them out with crossbows at a distance. Let's see how they do. All right. So it is now August 26th, and the Wolves of Meepole. If you remember the last time, they got a bit of a runaround. They didn't lose too many party members, although losing anything really stinks, right? But they ended up exploring a cockatrice lair and just didn't have the firepower to take them out. Cockatrices are pretty tough, even though they just look like chickens. But they did realize, or in the last month or so, since they've been back almost 2 months, a plan, which is to build effectively a chicken coop type device. They've hired weavers to create a 1 foot thick, maybe a little bit thicker, maybe 1.5 foot thick, kind of a box, if you will, or wall is probably a better way to say it, that they're going to, it's in pieces, they're going to bring it into the dungeon and basically set themselves up so that hopefully they can prevent the cockatrices from making contact with them. Then they're going to shoot through this thing because it has small holes in it with their crossbows, which they have stocked up on extra crossbows so they can do this fast and deadly, so that they can basically take this thing down systematically. So the plan is they're actually moving a little slower because they're lugging this stuff. They've got like a cart, which unless they get a ton of treasure, they'll probably abandon and leave there, but park it there unless they need it, because it makes them move a lot slower. So they're going to be traveling down. They're starting up here. They're going to be traveling down to here. Of course, we are playing original Dungeons and Dragons, using Chainmail as our combat system, and using Outdoor Survival as our hex crawling tool, basically. So when we look here, we actually see wagon or cart as a movement of, I might have said 5, but the movement is 4. So they're pulling the wagon with a couple of mules, which also aren't particularly fast. So worst case scenario, they may have to abandon the mules and send them off into nature if they need to retreat really quickly. They've also got riding horses, so they're a bit of a larger group. What we're hoping for here is good luck, because when we encounter things, it's going to be much, much harder for us to evade them, because our group size, including the party, and then plus because they're carrying bringing a cart, I'm going to set their group size at 10 to 24. So they actually have very little chance of evading anything unless it's a whole bunch of something. So let's hope that they have good luck as far as what they encounter and get there quickly. Again, they only move 4 hexes, so we will see, because that's not the fastest thing in the world. All right, so we are using the rules of Outdoor Survival on some level and the rules of in OD&D on other levels, and we'll kind of walk our way through this if this is your first time. Basically, what we're doing is in the morning, when the party sets out, we're rolling a d6. Depending on where they are, they happen to be in the open there or the clear, there is a chance, in this case, if they roll a 1, that they will be lost. If they are lost, they have to move in a random direction. So let's do that first. 5, they are not lost. They have effectively 4 movement points. You could think of it like that. Some things require more points than others, but the planes are just simple 1 per. So 1, 2, 3, 4. That's as far as they can travel in the first day. Now I'm going to roll to see if they have an encounter. In the clear, they have an encounter on a 6. On this die, that's the 6. 1, no encounter. So 1 day has gone by and they've used 1 ration. They have enough rations for the group for 3 weeks. So if I'm just going to count the rations with the travel, unless something happens and they somehow become different numbers, but they should be the same. Same deal. 4, not lost. 1, 2, 3. I think these take 3 apiece, so they don't really want to go there. So I guess they're going to go through the woods, which is, you know what though? How many days will it be through? You know, I think they're going to go through, they don't want to end in the mountain. So if they go 1, 2, 3, 4. They actually can do it with 4. Okay, so they're going to stop there. Again, they're in the plane. I'm going to roll. On a 6, there's an encounter. No encounter. Another day goes by. So again, I'm going to roll to see if they get lost. They do not. 1, 2, 3, 4. They end up in the plains again. Roll to see if there's an encounter. No encounter. Next day. Oh, they're lost. Yikes. Okay, so when you're lost, there's a little compass in the corner there. We have to roll to see which direction they go by mistake. 3. Okay, into the woods. That's not the end of the world. 1, 2, 3. And actually, they can do this, because this is a path head here. They can go that way. 4. And they're still... No, that'd be the woods. Nope, they're going to go 4. Those go right there. They're going to stay where they are. Again, I want to end in the plain, ideally, because that's where the least chance of an encounter is. So that's day 4. No encounter. Fantastic. Okay, are they lost again? No. Very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, I think they're past most of the mountains. That's good. So are they long? Do they have an encounter? No. That's day 5. So this is the last day of movement, day 6, and they have to rest. 6, but that's again, are they lost move? So no, they're not. So this is a something we have to think about. 1, 2, 3. No, they're good. 1, 2, because the path only counts as 1, 3, 4. They want to end in the plane, and the reason why I definitely want to end in the plane today. So let's hope we don't have an encounter. No encounter. Is because now we have to spend a day resting, and there will be a random encounter check on that resting day. So that's 7 days. Let's see if there's an encounter. There is not. Perfect. Okay, day 8. 5, they're not lost. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh, actually, you know what? For some reason in OD&D, paths through the mountains count as 2. So I'm not going to actually do that, because if I do that, then I will end up stopping in the mountain. So I'll just stop. I'll just go 2 and stop there. So is there an encounter? 3, there's not. You definitely do not want to stop in the mountains if you can avoid it. And that was that day. Okay, that was day 8. Yeah. Okay, day 9. 3, not lost. 1, 2, 3, 4. Is there an encounter? Oof, okay. They've been so lucky so far. They are going to encounter something in the clear. And this is not ideal, again, because they're a large party. Large parties are hard to evade. It's hard for them to evade, I should say. All right. I'm going to roll this here, D8, to see what they encounter. 7. Animals. Okay. We'll roll on the animal chart, just for the fun of it. I mean, they're going to try to run anyways. D12 roll. 5. Giant ants. Fantastic. Okay, so I've encountered giant ants before. OD&D does not give you basically a much information on giant animals, except for the fact that the numbers that they come in. Now, I always assume they move the speed of a man, which is 4. And if we think about, 12. And if we think about how much you move when you're on foot, it's 3 hexes that we're moving 4 with the wagons. So we're slightly faster than a man, but we're not like fast enough for it to make a difference. So that's how I'm going to rule that. Now, if we look at this chart here, which you can't see, there's from 2 to 16. And I'll talk about why the speed matters in a second. 1, okay, that's not ideal. 3, okay, this is not good. To be 100% honest, I think it might be worthwhile to fight the giant ants. There's only 3 of them. If we don't evade them, I'll make that decision. So now we have to figure out our chance of evasion. If we look at our charts here, there are from 10 to 24 of us. So if there's 3 of them, that's less than 25%. We only have a 15% chance to evade them. And for some reason I thought they said 13%. And if we don't evade them, we're going to have to go in a random direction. They're not fast enough to follow us, though, so it might be worth it. We have plenty of rations. Yeah, let's just see what happens. So we're going to roll here. 15%. No, that's 5, so it'd be 50 something. Okay, so we do not evade them. So do we want to fight 3 giant ants? To be 100% honest, I don't think we want to. Because giant ants are 3 hit dice, and that could be really bad for us. I mean, there are 9 of us, and we do have crossbows. Oh, actually, you know what? We do have a sleeves bow. Okay, you know what? This is what we're going to do. We're going to fight. We're going to fight them. So this is probably a mistake, but I'm going to do this just as theater of the mind, I think, because I think this will be a fast fight if we can pull this off. This is going to be the enemy. This is the party. Are we surprised? That is, if this is a 1 or a 2, they're surprised. If that's a 1 or a 2, we're surprised. So we do not want to be surprised here. Okay, neither one of us are surprised. Now it comes down to movement. Again, we want to move first, ideally. So this is us, this is them. High score wins. We win. Okay, so I'm going to theater of the mind this. It's nice and simple. We move first. The fighters assemble themselves in a line with their crossbows to block the giant ants from moving. In on us, the magic users cast their sleep spells because they have sleep spells. And they can put out 1 creature, well, actually 1d6 because they're 3 hit dice. So 1, there's 3 magic users, so, and 6. Okay, so we knock out 3 giant ants, and actually that's defeated 3 giant ants. And I could have played the whole thing out, but it just didn't make sense to me to do that. We weren't surprised. That means they were far enough away. They could not have closed on us, fast enough with their movement to be able to definitely get to us before, especially if everybody moved forward to block a line. So, also I could have done the missile fire. We might have killed them with the missile fire. So, should I have done that? Well, we'll give you missile fire combat another time. You know what? Let's do it. Let's roll back time and let's see how this actually plays out instead of rushing through it. So the way this works for people that are new here is when we are fighting using the abstract combat system in Chainmail, this is basically a souped up version of it that I created. We basically are using a comparison. Our weapons, which are heavy crossbows, versus their armor, which is heavy foot. Okay? Let me actually check the party to see how many people we actually do have that have crossbows here. 3, 4. Okay, so we have 4. All right, we have 4 heavy crossbows. 1 of them is with a penalty for dexterity. So we're going to roll distance. No, they're going to be close enough because, well, let's roll distance. Outside, our distance is 3d6 times 10. Okay, so they are 120 yards away. We will shoot at them when they are mid-movement. So they're going to move. They can move. So actually, they're going to be at 6 when we shoot them, which means we're short range. Okay, so let me show you how this works. I'm just going to take 1 character at a time. Everybody's first level. So versus heavy foot, a heavy crossbow is 2 dice per man, right? So man is like a fighting capability. Each of my people that are fighters are fighting as 1 + 1 man. So each character is 1. So they're going to roll 2 dice per character with 5s and 6 hitting. To one of those dice, they can add 1. Okay? So we're going to go now, but because they're in short range, they get to add an extra die. So they're going to roll 3 dice. They can add 1 to one of them. And they're looking for 5s and 6s. Okay, so that's 1 hit. I'm curious basically how this plays out. I'll do a little 1 hit. That's 1 of the fighters. The second fighter has actually a penalty, so they're only going to roll 2 dice. But they get 2 hits. So that's 1 ant dead. And then the third fighter, wow, misses completely. And the fourth fighter can add 1 to this, right? So they got 2 hits on that 1 ant. So basically 1 ant is dead, 1 ant is almost dead, and 2 ants are up, or 1 ant is up. At this point, they would then cast a sleep spell, because the ants didn't close the distance, and basically they'd be asleep. So there you go. That's how that would have played out. So actually, they only had to put out 1 ant, or 2 1.5 ants. Hopefully, I didn't do that too fast. When we get into the dungeon, we'll get more elaborately into combat, so don't worry about that. But they basically beat the ants. Normally, you don't want to fight stuff out in the field because it can be very deadly, but that actually worked out pretty well. All right, they're feeling pretty confident too, having used their crossbows. All right, that's one of the problems with this party is that there's so, well, in this case it worked out, but there were so many magic users and they all armed themselves with sleep spells, but the cockatrice was not affected by the sleep. Okay, 3. So I'm starting new data here. Are they lost? 3, no. So here we're going to be stuck with having to go through the woods, I think. Yeah, I still think it's better off doing it. Oh, no, a path through the woods only counts as 1, though. So that's actually good. But I don't think they're going to get through in one day. 1, 2, 3, 4. So y'all are going to have to stop in the woods. And in the woods, the chance of encounter is on a 5 and 6, I believe. Yeah, 5 and 6. 6, okay. All right, another encounter. Well, in the woods, we're going to roll a d8. 8. Oh, a dragon. Well, now, dragon doesn't mean a dragon. It means to roll on the dragon table, which is not good for us because most of these things are very fast. And again, that is going to be a problem for us. 1. Ooh, it is a black dragon. Okay, so in OD&D with Chainmail, characters of this level literally can't even hurt a dragon. I mean, it's like, it's not even worth considering trying to fight or trying to do whatever. Black dragons are chaotic. They're almost certainly going to attack us. So we're going to try to evade this thing. So the question is, how many black dragons are there? So dragon, dragon, dragon. Dragons can be from 1 to 4. What is nice about this is there might be a lair here, which we'd come back to later at higher levels. Okay, there's only 1, which is bad for us. Again, that's only 25%. Is it its lair? Dragons are in their lair 60% of the time. So we may have wandered into a dragon's lair. No, 8. Okay, so it's not the dragon's lair. But dragons are they're more than twice our speed, I think, at this point, because we're moving basically the speed of a normal person. And a dragon moves 24. Yeah, okay. So, all right. So this is what's going to happen here. Well, we're moving slightly faster than a normal person. Because a normal person would move. So we're going to multiply that by 4. So divide by 4. 1. Yeah, we're basically just slightly. It's not quite twice. You know what? It's not quite twice as fast as us. But what we'll do is we'll do the Matt Jackson Oracle thing here. If the black die is higher, then we'll consider it twice as fast. If not, if the white die is higher, we will consider it not twice as fast, just faster. Okay, good. It's not quite twice as fast as us. That is good because we only have a 15% chance of evading this thing, right? But because we're in the woods, we have plus 25%. And it's not twice as fast as us, so it doesn't get any bonus on its side. So that's basically a 40% chance of evading this dragon, and that's what we're going to hope that happens. Come on, dragon. Go 2. 3, 23. We avoid the dragon. All right, that's good. It was passing through anyway. So you can imagine that encounter as a dragon flying overhead, and we're just like quickly hiding our stuff, you know, so the dragon doesn't sweep down and take some of our mules or our people as food. Okay, next day. 6. Okay, in the woods, usually low is bad for when you're starting. I think in the woods you're lost on a 1 or a 2. Oh no, we're on a path, so we're only lost on a 1. So it doesn't matter. Anyways, that's a 6. So we get to move 4. 1, 2. It comes out either place, I guess. 3, 4. So we end in the plains. We should be able to get there, actually. No, we're 2 days away. Let's mark that day off. Let's roll to see if we have an encounter. Hopefully that dragon didn't follow us. 2. No encounter. Yay. All right, here we go. Not lost. Let me see. This guy's here. So it's going to take 2 days through the woods to get in there. I don't want to end in the woods. So I'm going to go. Is there anything? No, it's not. 1. Actually, that's all I'm going to do. 1. And then I'll just wait. So we go 1 day. As a matter of fact, I think because that's day 1, we'll see. No encounter. Counting my days here. 5. Day 6 will get us there. Then we'll have to rest 1 day in the woods. Well, we're going to go into the dungeon. We don't have to rest that day because we don't have to rest on. Well, no, we do. We'll have to rest before we go in the dungeon. So is it worth it to risk 2 rolls out here or 1 roll there? I think we'll risk 1 roll there. So I'm going to see if I'm lost. I'm not. The party moves onto the hex where the dungeon is. Let's see if there's an encounter on a 5 or a 6. There is not. That's day 6, so they must now rest on day 7. If this is not a 5 or a 6, then we're basically at the dungeon and ready to go in. It is not. Perfect. Okay. So it took us 14 days to go into the dungeon, which will make it the 9th of September. They've got their cart. They've got their facility also. I mean, they rested outside, right? So they probably got everything ready with their various mechanisms to fight these cockatrices. And we'll take this away, set up the dungeon, and we'll go in there and see what we can do. The Wolves of Meepo have returned to the dungeon. They have recruited a couple more fighters, because if you remember from last time, this is a very magic user heavy group. We've got magic user human, magic user, all humans, and then an elf magic user in the back. So they lost a couple of their fighters. They've regrouped a little bit. They have 4 fighters in the front, 3 humans, and a halfling. And their plan going into this, because they know that they're facing these cockatrices. So they know the cockatrices are very deadly and fast, but they also know they're basically chickens. So what they did, and they suffered a slow movement rate to get here to do this, was they created effectively medieval chicken coop style walls that our magic users, who again aren't great fighters, are going to carry. These things are effectively going to hopefully block the party, block the cockatrices from attacking the party long enough that they can take them out. So basically barriers, if you think about that. It's going to take all 4 magic users to carry there's 2 of them. They're going to kind of walk with them. And the plan is going to be when they see the cockatrice, the fighters are going to retreat back behind. The magic users are going to close the gap, close the area up rather with the walls. If you imagine them being like, 2 people carrying each one of these things, then when they see the cockatrice, they're going to go like that. And then these things have holes in them that will allow the heavy crossbows to shoot through them. That is the plan. Of course, it's been 2 months, roughly. It's a dungeon. Things change. We don't know where they are. I'm going to basically start from scratch. That is to say, the cockatrices were originally in this room. If I roll a monster in this room, it will just be the cockatrice, we'll say. Otherwise, I'm going to run the dungeon like normal. I did make one quick change is when I was running it last time and I added this card, I had it this way, figuring maybe I'd connect this to that. But then I realized, well, there's paths over here. So I just flipped it. It didn't make a difference for what we did because we didn't really explore it. So again, we're running with original Dungeons & Dragons for the most part. For the combat, we're using a modified version of Chainmail, which is my own system that I'm working on. In the past, you may have seen me use kind of a log sheet. I'm not using this time because I feel like I just copy the same information I copy here onto another piece of paper. I have this here for any combat and treasure. This here lists what spells the characters have memorized, and they took a variety of spells. And what was the torches. So everybody who has a light source has a little torch icon. The ones with the token as well these are actually not torches, but rather lanterns. So the halfling has a torch. These 2 magic users have lanterns. I'm counting the torches down with this. Every 6 turns, a torch burns out. I take 1 token off here. That means the lantern has lost one of its, a quarter of its time. Okay, I think I got all that down. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to hear it or not, but I believe it's about to start raining pretty hard here. So we may have some ambiance. All right, let's go for it. So I always play that when you enter the first room that there's nothing in it. So the party has entered. By the way, I'm using this little 2mm hero figures just so I have something, because I was using a full-size guy before. They seemed awful big. So they enter into the room, and what we're going to do is they went this way before. They're going to go to where the cockatrices were. They're hoping they're going to be there, because they don't know what I just told you, right? That they might not be. So what we're going to do is they're going to move in that direction. So the first turn, they're going to move to this door, and they are going to listen at it. Now, they've got an elf and a halfling, and then up to 3 people can listen at the door. The dice with the pips are going to be the demi-humans. They hear anything on a 1 or a 2. The other die will be the human that only hears on a 1. Okay, we got a 2. I don't know if you probably can't see that. Yeah, we got a 2 on one of the demi-human dice. So one of them, we'll say the halfling, hears through the door. So if there is anything there, the way I'm currently running this, there's not going to be anything there unless there be a wandering monster, but we're not checking for wandering monsters yet, so there's nothing there. So the 3 of them then push the door open. It takes a 1 or a 2 to open the door. I just need 1 success, which I had there. Boy, this die rolls a lot of 6s. Okay, they push through the door. Okay, and we'll say you can move basically halfway. Their movement is 6, so they can move 12 per turn. So just getting to the door and doing all that, I think open the door is probably a full turn. So 1 turn has gone by. I will remove 1 torch. I'm also going to track the turns over here on my little thing because every other turn I'm going to check for a wandering monster. In fact, we're in turn 2 now, so I'm actually going to roll it, and it will happen at the end of this turn. If I roll a 1 or a 2, there's a wandering monster. 1. Okay, there will be a monster at the end of this turn, and we'll figure it out. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, 8. So they can get in 1 turn, they can get to here. So they're going to get here. And what we're going to encounter now is some kind of wandering monster. So let's do this. I'll take this away as well. There are 3 directions. I mean, it can't really come from behind them. So there's 2 directions, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let me move this dice over so you can see what I'm rolling. See that? Yeah, you can. Okay, it's going to come from this direction. Now we're going to roll surprise. You roll surprise first because I need to know distance. If they're surprised, the way I'm doing it, I'm not using exactly the numbers from, well, you know, let's use the exact numbers. Let's be exact. If you are surprised, that makes a difference on the distance that they occur. Sometimes people say to roll the surprise after, but again, surprise sets the distance. So you sight a monster from 20 to 80 feet away, unless you're surprised. If you're surprised, they're only 10 to 30 feet away. So again, we're going to roll first to see if we are surprised and the monsters are surprised. These will be our dice. If the white one is 1 or 2, the party's surprised. If the black one's 1 or 2, the monster is surprised. Haha, we're both surprised. All right, now let's see how that, but that also determines distance. So 10 to 30 feet away. So that is 20 feet away. So I'll just use a fire token for the monster so we don't get confused with that between them and the party. So literally they come out of the darkness at the edge of our torch and they kind of walk into the light or we walk into them. Let's see what it is. So I have my own wandering monster or random monster list for this dungeon. I recommend that when you're doing this kind of stuff, you do that if you can. If you're not just completely making the dungeon random, in which case you can obviously use the list from here. So I do have my own list. It's a 2d6 list, looks like. Okay, I rolled 5. 5 is some kind of an animal. So some kind of an animal has been wandering around in here. It has surprised us. We have surprised it. It's only 20 feet away. So let's see exactly what it is. We will look on basic animals. We're going to probably be giant animal, but we'll roll on that. So let's roll a d12 to see what kind it is. It's an 11. Ooh, boars. Okay, they don't necessarily have to be giant. Boars are pretty pretty serious in and of themselves. So I'm going to roll on this. So basically the way we do regular boars would be, they'd be like 1 hit die monsters like wolves and stuff. If they're giant, then they're going to be anywhere up to 3 hit dice. So by their nature, because it's a wandering monster, there's only going to be 1 of them no matter what. So yeah, because boars don't necessarily travel in packs in dungeons as far as I know. Okay, so first we're going to roll to see if it's a giant boar. So I'm just going to use the Oracle. This I got is basically Matt Jackson's Oracle. They're calling it Freedom Oracle now. I don't do it exactly like that, but black is no, white is yes. Is this a giant boar? Yes, it is. Okay, so it's a giant boar. It's going to have up to 3 hit die, so I'm going to roll a d3. It's 1 hit die. Okay, so it's a very skinny, maybe. Okay, so based on that, right, this giant boar only has 1 hit die, but it's a giant boar. So I'm going to say that it's been starved. Maybe it's been trapped in here. So I'm not even going to roll reaction. This giant boar is immediately going to be, angry, and it's going to try to attack the party. So what we're going to do here is we're going to roll initiative. Again, black is the enemy, white is the... All right, the party sees this boar coming at them from 20 feet away. It's not moving far enough for them to get an intermittent arrow shot. That is to say, if they're far enough away and they're moving at least half their movement, which would be probably about 6 for a boar, then you could shoot them with an arrow on the way. But since they are not, they're going to move up on the party, and the party's going to have to fight them melee. We won initiative, though, so we can reform. And what we're going to do is, yeah, these guys are going to swap to their... These two guys are going to use they're going to stand in front. And this, the third person, the dog, is also going to step in front. He's got a halberd. He's got a halberd. He's got a mace, which is a heavy foot. So the way I'm doing this now is I go by majority. So basically, they're going to attack us armored foot, because they have halberds. And what we're going to do is we're going to look at... Now, a boar is going to be heavy foot, because that's just innate. All animals are heavy foot. So armored foot versus heavy foot. 1 die per man. We have 3 men attacking. A 5 or 6 is a hit. Now, the boar only has 1 hit die. I mean, he's going to die if he gets hit at all. The boar is heavy foot, and it's only 1 hit die. So it's heavy foot versus... Are all 3 of these guys in plate? All 3 of these guys are in plate. Heavy foot versus armored. 1 die per 2. So this boar actually can't even affect our player characters. So effectively, this is going to be a mercy kill. This thing's starving to death. It comes charging at the party, and they're just going to stab at it. If I get... And all these guys get +1 on their rolls. So if any of these dice is 4 or above, they're going to slay this boar. Yeah, all right. Because with the +1, actually all of them stick their weapons into this poor creature that has been suffering and take it out of its misery. All right, well, that's not a very glorious victory, but it needed to be done. The boar was attacking them. All combat ends up taking up a full turn. So that was the end of turn 2. So that was basically turn 3 for the combat. We're going into turn 4 now, and again, I'm going to roll for Wandering Monster because it happens at the end of this turn. No. Okay, so they're good for turn 4. If you've been enjoying these actual play videos, please do consider liking the video and subscribing to the channel. That helps a lot with the algorithm. Down in the description, you'll find links to many of the things I use to run these, so if you'd like to run your own solo game, you can find the links down there. You'll also find a link to my Discord server. You can join up over there, have fun with the conversations. We talk about all kinds of cool stuff over there. And finally, there's a link down there to my Patreon if you'd like to support the channels. I'll talk to you soon.